Alright, I got the lifters for the 406 project. I did end up going with the Howards. They are their max effort lifters. So they're a little bit lighter, and I'll show you guys what that looks like. So again, this is a hydraulic roller, and these are the Howards 91160. And they advertise them as their max effort hydraulic roller lifters. And the things that I noticed is you'll notice it just has one side for the link bar to help lighten up some weight there. And then the actual roller tip has some material off on the side skirts here on both sides to help lighten up the lifter. And I like that. That's less rotating weight in the valve train, which is always a good thing. I kind of took them out of the box here, cleaned them up a little bit, inspected all the oiling holes, made sure there's no debris in there. Just really rolled them, checked them out. They look like pretty nice pieces. I'm happy with them. Set this one back in here. For kind of budget friendly, I was really contemplating going with the JEGS hydraulic roller lifters. They do offer a set, and they look really similar in pictures. So I was tempted to order two of each and compare, but what actually happened is JEGS is out of stock of theirs, so I couldn't do that, and that actually is what made me decide on these lifters, is because they were what's available. I went to Summit, and they were out of stock of these lifters as well. Went to JEGS, and they had one set left. So I'm like, all right, might as well order these. That's what I was leaning towards anyways, and so far I'm happy with what I see. This will be a good test for them in this engine. I haven't used this particular lifter before. Did look at some reviews and talk to some people, and they're having a lot of good luck with them. So we'll have some real world comparison here. They are 300 thousandths taller. I did like that because I could always use these in a traditional small block Chevy, but the modern block, so like a 95 to 2002 factory roller block. These would also work in, since they're the 300 thousandths taller. With that being said, if you look, you can see how much material is sticking out of the bore. I think this is a side effect of being 300 thousandths taller. This lobe is all the way up at its max lift. You can see that'll be perfectly fine, because if I lift it, we've got about 200 thousandths before we get to any of the being exposed out of the bore. So I can't see that ever being an issue. I'd say we're probably about at the midway point before we get to any exposure where it tapers down. So I can't see that ever being an issue. We've got plenty of material still in the bore. And you can see kind of how much material is all the way down in there. But what would happen is, if this lifted up to say here, now we're going to lose some oil pressure because it's sticking out of the bore. So that's why I wanted to check this with one of the lobes all the way up. I knew it shouldn't be a problem, but it's always a good idea to check that with one of your lobes all the way up, and that's what we did here. I'll show you in comparison what it looks like. I believe this one's about all the way down. Yeah, so look at that one where it's all the way down on the back side of the lobe, compared to that one again where this one's towards the top of the lobe. It's just shy of being all the way out. You can see a good comparison there. I think this one here, they're on the back side of both actually. But now just going through, checking the fitment in the bores, getting ready to oil them up and install them. Looks like they're going to work just perfect for this application. Another thing is, if you look, I've got the link bar facing inward. If you were to flip this 180 degrees, that link bar would be riding up against the inside of the block, and that would cause you issues. So you want to make sure you install them this way. No, this will be a good comparison for these lifters and get some good reviews. I've tried a few other lifters. So we'll be able to compare what I've used in the past to how these do. They look really nice. So far I'm impressed with them. We'll see how they do once we get it assembled. And I don't plan on pushing this engine past 6,500. I think the rev limiter will be right around 6,500. But this will also be a good test for that, see how it does in the upper RPM. I will get some chassis dyno results on this engine. Probably not in the it's probably going to be a little bit before we get to that point. Probably more mid to late summer, somewhere around that range. But we'll be able to see if we're getting any, running into any issues with the valve train and the higher RPM. We shouldn't, but that'll be another good point to look at. Valve springs, seat pressures were right around I want to say we're 145 on the seat and 395 to 400 at open. So this is going to be a good test for these lifters as well. We're approaching some pretty good spring rates there for a hydraulic roller lifter. So I'm excited to get these in and excited to test them and get some results on all of this. I've kind of picked these parts to stay on budget and yet not take away any performance. So that's really why I went with the lighter lifter. Is a heavier lifter is going to cause more inertia in the valve train, which is going to increase your chance of valve float or valve control issues. So that's really a reason why I wanted to go with these. Again, I really think the Jegs ones would have worked. I would have liked to have had a set to compare, but for now we're going to roll with these. But if the Jegs ones would have been in stock, I would have tried those. But hey, I'm happy we've got a Howard's cam. I've always had really good luck with the Howard's products, so we'll get some results with these guys. I think that'll be it for tonight. I'm going to continue cleaning up and get these lifters installed. Probably the next thing I'll do is check for push rod length and start going from there on the rest of the assembly.